Hi friends, I just would like to share with you some insight that I got from a JavaScript event, specifically about web framework. I was very impressed by the presentation by Daniel Afonso about SolidStart. SolidStart is a fine-graded reactivity full-stack meta framework that is composed by multiple separate packages. There is Servoval, Vinxi, and Solid Router. Altogether, they mold in a rock-solid developer experience. So if you don't know, this product is very interesting, and I really like the simplicity and the way how everything combined together. But I was really impressed by the presentation by Minko Gechev about web framework at Google. He is engineering product lead at Angular team in Google, and he was highlighting how the Angular and Width framework are better together. If you don't know these two products, Width is the official performance critical framework at Google, like for Google Search, Drive, etc. Just for having the idea, they were like measuring the performance in 0.5 second, and whereas AngularJS is the high interactive part of Google, like for Google Analytics, Google Cloud Console, and recently there was also YouTube that was completely rewritten just for AngularJS. I was really interested about all the small details that are inside the AngularJS. For example, the way how all the web page is composed, that basically is a tree with all the different objects underneath. And the traditional way of traversing this tree is actually to go object by object and find out which one need to have an interaction. Whereas there are new techniques nowadays that permit to identify every single object, and this speed up a lot the user experience. Another very interesting thing is how the user interacts with the page. In the traditional client-server model, there is a lot of back and forward just for sending the initial HTML page, the CSS, and the JavaScript, but the server-side rendering allow you to just pre-elaborate the page and send to the client. Also, there is a very interesting way that you can embed an event listener. So every time if a page present to the customer and he already interact with some event, the event listener will store this interaction in a queue, usually for 1 second or hopefully less, and it will repeat to all the objects that will be created later. Also, it could be a partial interaction, and this is very interesting in my opinion, because it really paves the way for the new interactive app of tomorrow. So long story short, there is a lot of lesson learned from Width, the internal framework of Google, that will be transitioned in Angular. I would say that sooner or later Angular will become very, very interesting. So I was really impressed by the long type of work and the type of also performance analysis. There are more than 11,000 automatic tests for every time there is a PR. So if you want to contribute, I think AngularJS is the project that we need to take a look in the future. Then there was also a small presentation by Ozan İncesulu about .http file that you can interact with a simple VS Studio extension that mime like a REST client. And this was very interesting because in a simple file we can do all the like a traditional get, post, and this is very interesting in my opinion for some quick test that we can do in our workstation, or we can simply send this file over Slack to a colleague, and is less complicated than a Postman and definitely way interesting. Also was very interesting by the presentation of Fardjad Davari that presented the TypeScript Compiler API. This is a way of like demystifying what happened behind the scene of TypeScript, because somehow there are some objects that are not clear, and we would like to understand how the compiler interact with this type of object, especially when you are working with like a generic programming. You would like to understand better what objects are behind. From the QA point of view, was very interesting the presentation by Patrick, who is Tech 10, about Cucumber and Playwright. In this way, you can basically use the Cucumber, that is like a given with then statement. In this way, powered by Playwright, you have an extensive like test suite. I think that will be interesting for some QA type of work, and was very interesting. Another thing, the podcast Beyond Coding. If you're not already following, Patrick Akil is following this type of podcast, and is publishing every week a new episode. He's interviewing some seasoned experts all over the IT scene, and it's very interesting how he interacts. He creates some human report, and he shares stories about how technology is created from human to human. And this is very interesting, because in the end of the day, we create a wonderful technology just for simplifying our life, and we stay one to another. We are human, and we like to interact in this way. So, long story short, I really liked this JavaScript event about specifically, I would say, web framework, but I'm very interested that the JavaScript community is very vibrant and very ready for new innovation. If I have a shout, I think web framework at Google was my favorite speak, and it was very interesting to see the evolution of AngularJS. So, thank you for watching, and let's automate more. Bye!